Hello everybody, welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm back. I have an interesting video to share with you guys today. Today I got my notes again. I want to talk about Alone Season 2, the very last episode, episode 13. I'm out here in northern Arizona right now in the woods. I got a small break in the rain, so I thought I'd give this moment an opportunity, take advantage of it if I can and get this video filmed. The dogs are out running around right now having a good time. I got my new shirt from my brother, my fellow YouTube brother Jason Williams. I'm really happy about that. So let's get started with Alone. Again, season 2 episode 13. If you haven't seen that episode, please turn this video off. It will contain big spoilers. So let's get started. There's 3 people left, day 59. We're starting about 4 o'clock in the afternoon with Jose. The last episode kind of left us hanging because it showed his kayak going over, and so the show picks up pretty much at that same point. The water was, it was just like I thought it was. It was waist deep on him. All of his gear, his boots, his clothing, everything got wet. And he had mentioned that these things are very difficult to dry. It's a humid environment out there. It's kind of like the environment that I'm in right now, except I'm in Arizona. The rain that we get here is nothing like the rain that they get there. So he was really worried about, more than anything, I believe, his boots getting dried out, because it would have taken several weeks and weather conditions were getting worse. I personally feel that he was already at the edge of tapping. And he's the kind of person that makes those decisions very quickly. So he pressed the button immediately, the emergency GPS beacon, to contact the rescue team. And it says there, in an annotation, it says that this results in an official tap out. He said that he feels weak and he feels like an old man. Now let's not forget, folks, that even though that water was only waist deep, it was 47 degree water, okay? I go to San Diego in the summertime and I swim in the ocean and it's like 20 or 30 degrees warmer. And I still think it's cold. So 47 degrees is cold water, folks. It's not freezing, but it's pretty close. He looks very sad in that scene where he laid his kayak over after he tapped. He looked real sad. And the first thing he says is, "Oh, I'm so sorry to my love, Shauna. I tried." And he did. He gave it everything he had. He went out on his shield. I mean, he really did. Personally, I kind of wished to have seen him pull a little more, but let's not forget that it's day 59. He did. He gave it everything he had. He looked very disappointed. In my eyes, he looked very disappointed. He says he feels like a failure. He is no failure. He said sorry to his friends and family that he felt like he let down. He mentioned all of his wool clothing on him. Now, that kind of got me thinking, because wool is one of the only materials that holds 85% of its insulating value when it's wet. So, I was thinking, wait a minute. He was talking about, it showed wool clothing, and I'm like, wait, but it was his boots. The boots that he was concerned about. The boots are wet. We're dealing with 47 degree water temperatures. We're dealing with temperatures at night that are 37, approximately. So it's getting close to freezing at night. And I don't know if that was the only pair of boots that he had or not, but, it kind of gives us a vision of a person that goes out there and gives their all, but puts all their eggs in one basket. And I think that's what happened to him. And I love the show. I love watching everything about Jose. I love his demeanor. I love his attitude, his skills that he showed on the show. He was amazing. So yeah, he says he couldn't make it. And my thoughts are that, he didn't quit from running out of love. He ran out of body heat. And I can't remember if he said that or if it was my thoughts or what, but that's what I have written down here. You know, I'm honestly sad to see him go. I really liked Jose. He was cool. He had the skills. You know, and that's another thing that comes to mind is every one of these people that has been on this show, I think had the skills to do it. It was whatever got them to their breaking point that took them out. So let's move forward. Day 60. 6-0. 2 months. 2 people left. 8:30 in the morning, we're talking about Larry. He's thinking about money versus tapping out. He says he's not going to tap today. He's taking it one day at a time. You know, he's making a hand line so he can fish. He's got 4 hooks on it. Then an annotation comes on the screen that says he has lost 1/5 of his body weight. 32 pounds in total. Wow. So he was hoping to use a section of the gill net to catch birds. He's extremely hungry. You know, he's starving. 9:24 in the morning, we're talking about David. He feels like this is his lifestyle now. Man, David and I think a lot alike. Because that's the kind of thought processes that are going through my mind. If I'm lucky enough, if I'm blessed enough to get to go on the show myself in a future season, I feel like that's how I'm gonna live. One moment, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. And I really connect with David on this. He's getting weaker, he says. His body's starting to hurt. He's feeling his age. He says every task that I do comes from me, and there's not a whole lot of me left. Now let me break that down for you, my interpretation of what he means by that. I think that what he's talking about is for your body to move, it requires calories. And for your calories, if you're not bringing them in, they're coming from you. Your body will cannibalize itself, and that's what you're dealing with. And that's what I think he means by there's not much of me left. He's down to skin and bones. If I rest and I don't go fishing, I don't eat. I'm literally living hand to mouth. Literally. He means this, folks. Day 60. Fish comes here, fish goes in there, goes to the belly, that's the calories. I've never been in that position. I want to test myself and see how I can handle it. He's lost a lot of muscle mass, and simple tasks like fishing are painful, he says. He says maybe a younger man would have had a better time at it. I don't think age is a factor. Personally, I don't think young, old, I don't think any of that's a factor. I think the mental toughness that an individual has in themselves is what carries them through this. I think age is just a number. You know, he's 50 years old. He might be meaning like younger, better shape, more resources. You know, I don't know. But I personally beg to disagree on that one. Respectfully, of course. I think it comes down to your mental, your willpower. He caught a fish, and he lost it when he was going to get it. And he banged his knees on the rocks when he was going for the fish. I think he slipped. Ouch, man. That had to hurt. I feel for him. And let's move forward. 4 o'clock. We're talking about Larry. And he talks about people sitting at home watching the show, you know, myself included, and probably everybody out there watching the show that's not out there. This must seem so easy. You know, we're sitting here watching these guys, we're sitting there and watching them gut it out. And he says, it's not that easy. You know what? I agree 100%. I do. I'm not out there. He hopes that his friends and families are proud of him. And they will be. For how difficult his journey has been. I think they will be, no matter what the outcome is. He's out there and he's putting his life out there for us to be entertained. He said it takes a long time to get your feet wet when you're dropped out there. And I don't mean feet wet literally. I'm saying to get in your groove. That's what he says. It takes a long time to get your feet wet out there. At first, it's more physical than mental. And then as time goes on, it gets more mental, he says. I believe him. He says all you think about is food because you're starving, and I believe him 100% on that. I think Larry's a very honest person, and I'm learning a lot from him. I really am. I'm learning a lot from everybody out there. He says that his needs on day 50 were completely different than his needs on day 30. I agree. So let's move forward. Day 61, 2 people left. We have David and Larry again. 11:40 in the morning, talking about David, and I'm starting to get a sprinkle. He says he's bruised his knee. He's going to take a few days to heal this knee. So he's still got his mind set for the long run here. He said his body's disappearing, and it's getting scary. He's emotionally things are getting harder, and that's the same thing Larry said. He's missing his kids, and it's wearing on him. Daily strain is working on him, and it's hard work, he says, being out. He's talking about the longer he stays out there and the more days go by, the more recovery time he's going to need to get back to normal. And I agree with him that, and I'm looking for the day when this is done, he says, one way or the other. Let's move forward. Day 64, 10 o'clock in the morning. Larry, he's not feeling well. Feels like puking, so he decides to settle down, and he says that I ain't ever quit anything in my life. You know, this boils down to survival, you know, but not really to its core. You know, this is, I think Jose put it best when he said wilderness living, because survival, you don't have a tap out button. This is a reality show, and yes, you're surviving, and yes, you're starving, and all these things, but at the end of the day, you have a beacon that you can push a button on and they'll come get you. And I'm not saying it's easy for them. Let's move forward, talking about David. He says, I ignore the fact that I've had that I have that little black phone in there which I could use to call base camp and tap out. I agree with him. He's got some mental toughness. Let's move forward. We're still on day 64, 11:24 in the morning. The scene shows a rescue boat coming. The show shows both guys going back and forth, kind of talking about how they're suffering and stuff, and their weaknesses and the struggles that they're having. And so it kind of lets you wonder who's quitting here. Camera crew gets out and they're filming, and the guy filming was Larry. He was filming the boat pulling in and the camera crew, and you still didn't know who was behind the camera until it showed that other shot, and it was Larry. He's crying. He's very emotional because this meant everything to him. This was everything. He gave it his all. He went down on his shield. You know, he said that he did the best that he could, man. He told the crew that. And the guy tells him that Mother Nature is a tough cookie. And Larry says, yeah, he agrees. And, you know, he's very emotional, and he says he didn't just quit emotionally. He says that he broke. Man, that's what it'll do to you. He broke, and he's honest about it. He owned it. And it takes a hell of a man to do that. You know, he says, I'm hungry, I'm starving. He says, you can't tap until you leave everything out there. He says he tapped because he was going to die. You know, and literally gave it all, gave it everything. And he's kind of, I think he was talking a little bit about other participants, you know, maybe for future seasons or something, you know, going out there and tapping early without giving it everything they got. And he feels that he's done everything and gave everything, and I give him a world of credit for it. I agree with him. He said he has no calories left, and just like I explained earlier, calories are necessary when you're performing functions. If you don't, you can't perform functions if you don't have gasoline in the car, you know. So I agree with him. If you tap before leaving it all out there, then what the hell did you sign up for, he says. Man, I agree. being out there humbled him. He realizes that he's not as tough as he thought that he was. And I think it does that to everybody, even the ones that win. So we obviously know now that David has won the show. Not as many skills as some of the others have, he says, but I have some willpower. What I've discovered about myself is that I have to focus about what my wife talks about all the time. Stop worrying about the fact that you're grinding away on a daily basis working, and focus on the little things in life, he says. He says his family is awesome. He acknowledges the people that love him and the people that got his back. And then he needs to start showing the appreciation for that, he says. The hardest thing he's ever done in his entire life, and this is one of his greatest achievements, how though he's super disappointed that he couldn't make it to the very end, but in the end he did his best and gave it his all, and there's nothing more than we can ask for out of him. And I'm proud of him. Man, Larry has skills, he really does, and he gave it everything he's got. Day 66. 10 days more than last year. 9 o'clock in the morning, David, he tells himself, keep going, David. Don't stop now. He says this is hard. He gets hungry during the day and he misses his kids, and I don't have any body reserves to draw on anymore. And if I don't have food coming in, I have to burn meat, and there's not much of that left, he says. He says that again. But to give up, I feel like I'd be giving up on my kids' future. And I can't bring myself to do that. Man, this dude is ready to jump through fire. This dude's got some freaking willpower. Oh, man. I'm like, wow. He doesn't have a way for them to go to college. And to him, that's huge. Then he catches a fish. Oh, man. The first word out of his mouth was, thank you, Lord. He gave credit where credit is due. Nothing that we do in this life, you know, me thinking as a Christian this is, nothing that we do in this life comes without God. And I think a lot of the other participants, and I don't know what their faith is or what their level of faith is, but man, David's level of faith, in my opinion, is huge. And I admire that. 2 o'clock, roughly, a boat comes. David thinks that it's a routine medical exam. I think they did that last season to Alan. Heading into day 70 soon, and I feel like I'm like I can keep going. All of the people that get a chance to do this thing, and I actually get a chance to do it, he says. Man, all of the people who've applied for this, you know, and then he's talking about eating Dungeness crabs every night. Why would I go home now? Why? Because he, you know, and what he means, I think, by that is he's bringing in some calories, small amounts, but nonetheless he's still eating. Why would I go home now, he says. Then this shot right here, 4:12 in the afternoon, a couple hours later, his daughter Erin sneaking up behind him, and I don't know if they were like interviewing him, and she's over his right shoulder, like creeping up. That was super cool, the way they did this. Creeping up behind him, and he's talking to the camera, and he hears a branch break off to his right. And he looks over there, and that's the moment right there. That moment, he looks over, he sees her, and he looks away, and he puts his hand up. That's the moment. I can't even think to put what he might have been feeling into words. He's starving. He misses them. He loves them. His faith. The journey's over. He knows he gets to go home, eat food. I mean, he's got a million things going through his mind right at that moment. Boom, force fed. The branch breaks. He looks, and his mind, I believe, just explodes with all of these emotions. Just boom, boom, boom. All these emotions in one whack. My gosh. What would it feel like to experience that, folks? You've laid everything you got out there on the line, and now your brain is exploding with all these different mixed emotions. Happy, sad, angry, you know, faith in God, you know, the weather, the beautiful area. You see your daughter, you know you're going home, and my gosh, it just blew me away. I like paused the show right there and I played it over and over and over, that little 2-second clip. I can only imagine what that felt like. That's got to be, in my opinion, one of the biggest moments in his life, ever. Just my opinion. So he hugs her. You know, he turns away in shock and he cries. And then he hugs her and says he did this for them. And she says, you did it. What a moment. What a moment. Think about that. Day 66. What a moment. He says, he tells her, he says, you came all this way just to tell me? Man, I couldn't have asked to see a better ending of a show. He says, I get on that boat today? And she says, you're coming home. I get to come home? So he shows her around a little bit, and he says he's never really had money in his life. They get in a helicopter, and he says, goodbye, Desolation Cove. That area will be imprinted on his brain for the rest of his life. And I think Larry too. They will never ever forget that place. Man, what a perfect ending to a beautiful day, he says. Oh wow, this is so cool. I got to admit, I did not picture myself leaving in a helicopter. This is my first helicopter ride ever, he says. Wow. I got emotional. Because, you know, the whole time, even though this show had already been pre-recorded and we had to wait, you know, they did it in the fall and we had to wait till the spring for this thing to get, you know, go on the air, I still felt like it was live. You know, I was still praying for these people and please let them catch a fish, you know, and let this guy have some strength. And man, now let's talk about some wisdom. Wisdom from David. He says he has a love-hate relationship with that place. Some days are great, some days are horrible. Suffering has value. This is the wisdom I'm talking about. Suffering has value. We avoid it at all costs. We would never want to go back and repeat it, but it's a part of life. Nobody gets through life without suffering. It's a part of life, he says. Will you allow it to make you bitter, angry? You can allow it to eat away at your soul, chew you apart, or you can look for the deeper meaning of it. God's trying to teach me something, and I know that in the end, I get to keep these lessons, and the pain goes away. Wow. You know, he has 3 kids. He has a son, Daniel, Karina, I think I'm saying that right, and Aaron, his 2 daughters. And so now it shows him, he's in his car and he's talking about back in the world of laws. Out here he was bound by these laws, Mother Nature's laws. His kids kept him going while he was out there. You know, I did a video on the rule of 3s of survivability, and I honestly believe that last rule that I talked about, you know, having hope, I think that's what he's talking about right here. His kids kept him going. He never lost hope out there. Now let's talk about the homecoming. His daughter Karina told him she knew that he could do it. And he said, I wish I knew I could do it. And once again, David and I are thinking along the same lines, because even though I'm not a participant on the show, and I put all my packet together and I put everything in for season 4, but I don't know if I'll get to go or not. That's all in God's hands in my eyes. I hope that I can. I think I got some things I need to sort out in myself, and I think I can really truly find myself out there. But David says a lot of things that I think of, and it's like I know exactly what he means when he says it, because I'm thinking the same things, and I'm not even out there yet. And the one that I'm going to go back and say again is when he talks about his daughter telling him she knew he could do it, and he says, I wish I knew I could do it. I feel the same way, because I have a lot of people in my circle that have 100% confidence in me, and I don't know if I can make it or not. There's only one way to find out, and I'm trying to find that out. I'm wanting to go on this show. I'm wanting to suffer. You guys gave me the confidence to do this, he said. The bush will always be in his blood. He has gratitude for things in life. He values human company a lot more now. You know, folks, what an amazing show this has been. One thing that I want to say, since this is the last episode of my commentary on Alone for this season, is I want to say, you know, let's not forget that they were out there putting their lives at stake and their well-being and everything on the line for us, for our entertainment. Let's not forget that they were in that moment. Their judgment we have to trust. They put themselves out there. That we're sitting here at home eating a bowl of ice cream watching the show, and it's very easy to armchair quarterback these people. 66 days is amazing. And I give credit to every single one of the participants on this season. I've learned something from all of them. And I can't wait for season 3. So folks, I want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you for coming along with me on this ride, on this journey, on this commentary for Alone Season 2. I hope you enjoyed all these videos. Please feel free to leave your comments down below. Like this video, share this video. And if you like the content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And if you guys have any input that I might need to hear that could help me if I potentially go on season 4, please feel free to share it. I'm willing to hear it. Thanks for watching. Have a beautiful day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. It's getting cold and it's about to rain. Later. Look at these lazy dogs over here. There's one. Where's the other one? Look at this guy. He actually acts like he's cold. Are you freezing, dude? Where's my other one? They come out here and they just sit and they watch me film my videos. And they're acting funny though, because they're getting scared of the thunder. Especially this little black guy. He freaks out. Peace.